Hello, my name is Sarah. Welcome to the It is a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, September 23, 2024, and in this episode I want to share my handwerk perikelen, that's a Dutch word for crafty adventures, from this week with you. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet, I love to sew, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. I make my episodes every Monday in Dutch and in English, so be sure you pick the right one. Okay, let's start because I have a lot of things to share with you today. And let me start with saying thank you for all the love for my granny square blanket, my Prague blanket. I showed it last week, the finished object. And it was hard jumping for me. The blanket was hard jumping in many ways for me anyway, but it was extra hard jumping that you love it so much too. It's very special when you see that what you are doing by heart can be inspiring for other people too. I received so many lovely comments and messages, and even so many people who started a granny square blanket themselves. It's making me very happy because I feel so much love for granny square, so I want to spread all the love so you can feel it too. I might have accidentally started a new granny square project. That was not really planned. I will talk about that later in this episode. But first I want to share a little bit more about what I'm wearing today, because my outfit is also making me happy today. I'm just a happy person. I think I've reached a point in my life that I made so many handmade items in my wardrobe that I can make all the combinations and I can choose different outfits every day. And that's very special because that was not always that way, because when I started knitting I only had one sweater, and when I started crocheting I had only one shawl. When I started sewing it took me quite some time before I started sewing, or before it became successful sewing, and it's still quite vulnerable. The sewing skills are not very well trained yet, but I can make wearable dresses and skirts right now. So this morning I actually started with another outfit because it was grey and I expected that it was a little bit colder. And when I came downstairs I was wearing another lovely woolly t-shirt, but it was wool. And when I came downstairs we had quite some summer temperatures this weekend. 23 degrees, and it was still warm outside and in the house, but it was also grey, so I was a bit confused about that. But I thought, okay, it's too warm for a woolly item, so let me grab something else, and I found my Sanna cardigan. My Sanna cardigan is brand new. I didn't wear it a lot. I made it in the beginning of this summer, I guess, maybe in spring. I did a test knit for Rebecca. It's a pattern from Rebecca from the Creabea podcast. I'm a big fan of Rebecca's designs. And I really love this garment. I didn't wear it a lot because when it's really warm, I love to wear sleeveless garments. But in spring and in autumn, the short sleeves are really perfect. And also because I knitted it in a plant fiber yarn, Sandnes Line, so it's cotton, linen and viscose. It's better, it matches the temperature better than a woolly item. So this garment is making me very happy. I have one small thing. When I was doing the test knit in my size, I couldn't. It's actually a round neck. It looks a little bit like a V-shaped neckline on me, but it's actually a round neck. But I couldn't close it, and I wouldn't wear it this way anyway. But Rebecca made some modifications to the pattern. But I didn't want to rip out mine and do it all over again. So I just folded the corners to the inside and sewed it with a little stitch in place. And now I wear it as a V-shaped cardigan. I personally prefer the V-shaped neckline. And Rebecca, mostly in her patterns you have the options. You can choose between V-shaped neckline or round neckline. That was not with this cardigan in this pattern. So maybe it's not a good idea to do it. It was not possible to make a V-shaped neckline, but I will try it anyway, I guess. Maybe I have to check Maybe she's tried, I don't know. But I really want to make another one because I love the pattern. Knitting the lace was really lovely. I love knitting lace, and also with a black tank top under it, you can really see the contrast between the light color of my garment and the darker color of my tank top, so you can see the lace very good. So yeah, it's just making me so happy. And especially with the combination with my skirt, because this skirt, I just love the pattern of the fabric and the lace pattern of the yarn. It's mix and match. And I didn't wear it before because this skirt is a little bit more of a winter skirt. It's a thicker fabric. It's a corduroy. I found a piece of corduroy in the thrift store in this color combination. It was absolutely a lot of luck for me. And I made a skirt of it with no pattern, just a waistband. I was inspired by a sewing book I have for that, and I used the pockets from the hinterland pattern, and then the skirt is just straight. And with some gathering, it is a little bit of a, yeah, very easy peasy, but very nice skirt. But I don't wear it a lot in summer because it's such a thick fabric, but it is autumn right now. So I have a perfect combination for autumn, and yeah, it's just really making me happy. It gives such a good feeling that when you are spending time at doing what you love the most, that you can fill your wardrobe with handmade pieces. That's very special to me, and I spend a lot of time of doing what I love the most. Knitting and crochet, just making. So yeah, it's really, really nice. Okay, I have a finished object, but I don't have it with me anymore. This was my reminder so that I wouldn't forget to talk about it. My little pea plant is finished. I talked about it last week, I guess. I'm not quite sure. But it's already at its location, its final location. Our oldest son, I always struggle with how I say it. He moved to his student room. I think I can say it like that. He started a study in another city, even in another country, in Belgium. And he lives there right now. He comes home for the weekends, but a lot of students are during the week are staying in their student rooms so that they don't have to travel. It would be too time consuming to travel daily. So he travels weekly, and we brought him to his student room and made it cozy, and he really needed a plant. I wanted to knit him a plant. No, I wanted to crochet him a plant. It's a perfect plant for a student room because you don't have to give it any water. You also have real plants because it's just nice to have plants around you, and he will take care of them, I'm sure. But I wanted to give him a little bit of mother love catched into a crochet plant, and also catched into a knitted rabbit, but he preferred the plant, he said. He will get the rabbit anyway, but it just doesn't happen. I don't know. I don't know why, but there will be a time I make him the rabbit too. But for now it was the plant, and it is already there. And I just crocheted all the strands of pea plants, and it was really nice. And then it was not finished when we brought him to his place, so I just left it there and asked him to bring the plant without the pot, because that would take too much space, back home so I could add the other things. So yesterday I could make pictures, but I didn't have the right side of the pot, but I could take pictures anyway, and I did a little bit of filming, so probably you've already seen it right now while I'm talking. I will edit it afterwards. Yeah, but it was really nice, a really nice project. I think it can use more strands, but my yarn in that color was gone. I did run out of yarn. I crocheted it all away. So when I can find the same colorway in the yarn shop, I will buy another skein of yarn. It was just DK weight superwash woolen yarn, and from the brand Anel Malmedy. It is a Belgian brand, so I don't know. It's not a very well-known brand, I guess, but I really love to crochet with that yarn. So maybe I will add some strands, maybe not, we shall see. But it was just very very nice to, as I said, to bring a little bit of my mother love with him catched into the plant. So yeah, it is still there. Yeah, I also have this one. It's on my desk because I was trying if I could put the plant in this one. We visited a very lovely thrift shop last weekend, and I found some nice things. And also 2 of these, these plastic pots. They are very old, I guess, and I don't think it's very strong plastic, but I really love the orange in combination with the flowers. And we thought they would be nice for our camper van to put in some oatmeal or coffee or whatever. I don't know if we really will use them because I'm a little bit afraid they will not be strong enough, but they look very nice anyway. So maybe they are just to look at, or I don't know if they will practical. We shall see, but very nice and very lovely. I found something else, but I will tell about that at the end of the podcast. Sorry, at the end of the episode. First, let me start with another project. This was not been knitted for quite a long time. It is living in a beautiful project bag. It's also made by a Belgian lady. We are quite Belgium themed today, I guess. I live quite close to Belgium. I live in the south of the Netherlands, so that we are neighbors with Belgium. But this was a gift from a lovely Belgian knitter and also a quilter. And she made the most beautiful project bag with all the lovely quilted fabrics. And she even embroidered my name on it. Oh. I'm a bit distracted because I saw my battery of my phone is almost empty. So I will take a break and recharge before I will tell you all about the project in this project bag. And I will do some knitting and drink some water and recharge the battery of my phone and maybe also a little bit my own battery. And I will be back with you within 30 minutes. Okay, here we are again, hopefully a little bit refreshed and recharged. I must confess, I think my phone is getting old. I think it's very annoying because my phone isn't old at all, but I always think they might be built to get old quite quickly, so we need new ones in our lives. The technical stuff on my phone is not going as well as it used to be. So all processes are going very slow, except the empty battery process, because that goes really quickly. But we are here again, and I'm not really complaining because it gives me a little bit of extra knitting time in between, and I did knit a few rows on this project, which is living in this lovely project bag, but I'm quite sure I told you all about it before the break. I am knitting the anchor shawl. It's a shawl pattern, a triangle shawl pattern by a Dutch knitting designer, Mirjam Molenbeek. It's a beginner-friendly pattern because Mirjam runs an online beginner-friendly knitting campus in which she teaches knitting to all the interested people. It is in Dutch, but she also learns them to work with English knitting patterns, and that's really a good idea, I guess, because I'm not the only one. A lot of people share my opinion. English knitting patterns are so much more logical and easy to follow than Dutch knitting patterns. And when you start knitting, it doesn't sound attractive to do it in English because, most of the time when you are practicing a new skill, you want to do that in your own language. But the Dutch knitting language is just not. It's not logical. It's I don't know. It's very weird. So I always work with English knitting patterns, and a lot of Dutch knitters do that too. And she designed this shawl to use in her knitting campus, and she decided to also put it on Ravelry for all the other people who doesn't need knitting lessons but do want to knit this lovely pattern. And it's the simplicity of this shawl which is attractive, because it's you knit stripes of garter stitch and stockinette stitch, and it's so easy but really lovely to knit. I love knitting stripes. If it are colors or texture patterns, it doesn't matter. Knitting stripes is really motivating because you are knitting to the next section, and that's really lovely. You start with a garter step stitch in the middle, and that's a little bit challenging, although it was for me when I did it the first time, and still I need my focus to do that, because the first time I was doing that I thought it was on another shawl. I knitted a grain shawl before, and I made 2 skimming shawls. The grain shawls from Petite Knit, no, Tin Can Knits, and the skimming shawls from Sophia Tails. And they all start with a garter tab, and then you knit from the middle back and forth in a triangle shape. And the garter tab is a very weird thing to do, but very clever. But when you don't understand what you're doing, it can be very confusing. But it just follow the pattern and it will work out anyway. So yeah, I really love it. I do have 2 skimming shawls I'm wearing all the time. They are both my favorites. I have one in autumn colors and one in black with a little bit of brown and yellow, but all colored, and I wanted a plain brown triangle shaped shawl too. The original pattern is for a DK weight yarn, but I made it, I'm making it in a fingering weight yarn. It's a Shetland yarn. I bought it at a Dutch yarn shop. And it's a lovely heathered brown, fingering weight. And I love knitting with it, although it is a little bit splittery. I insert my needle every now and then into the strand of yarn, so that's the only thing. And I also think a lot will happen when I block this shawl. So it's not at his best right now, and that's always when you are knitting and looking at your project, you must have the trust that it will be better after blocking. That was really an important thing I needed to learn when I started as a knitter. But it's really lovely. I actually planned it as my on-the-go knitting project for the summer, but it's really rustic yarn, and my sweaty summer hands didn't like knitting on it in summer. So it was, do you call it hibernating too? It feels for me that hibernating is a winter sleep, but it was a summer hibernate. And now the temperatures are dropping and I feel motivated to work on this. And it's really lovely. It is also quite a boring knit, let's be honest, although it's very nice to go to the next section, the next stripe. The rows, they will get bigger and bigger because you increase stitches every other row. So the rows become endless, and the sections are becoming endless too. So it's a bit of a boring knit. So for me, it's really nice to have this as an extra knitting project and not as my only knitting project, because then I don't know, it would be not challenging enough. But it will be a lovely shawl. And when you are a beginner knitter, it's the perfect project to practice your knit and purl stitches. Yeah, I really love it. I'm knitting on a 2.75 millimeter needle, and I will block it quite aggressively. I will pin it down because I drop a stitch. Because I really want to stretch the fabric out so it become a really thin and flowy shawl. I really want to have it big. I have enough yarn. I have 5 50-gram yarn skeins. And that's more than enough. So I want to have it really big so I can cover myself in. And because it's a fingering weight yarn, it won't be too bulky around my neck. And I don't like it when it's too big when I want to wrap it around. And it can be very lightweight, and you can make it to a tiny thing you can put in your backpack or whatever. So it's not a heavyweight shawl. I have 5. It will be maximum 250 grams, so that's really nice. Yeah, I love it. I love working on it, and it's a slow project. I don't need it, so no hurry, and it's just there for whenever I need it, and it will be finished one day. Okay. Oh yeah. I have my knitting needle case next to me. Just this weekend I realized how much fun this needle case is for me. I made it last year, I guess. Or I didn't made it. I didn't make it. I put my Sarah sauce over it. I love doing it. I have the Chow needles, the interchangeable sets. I have two, so I have two needle cases. I only put my sauce over one, and it was a very interesting process. I really love to personalize my stuff. I just love doing that. And this needle case, I don't think it's ugly, but it was just a bit boring, black and white, and I think it's practical, so I don't really need another one, but I just want to play with it. But when I want to play, always my Miss Perfect is always coming around the corner, and when I have that idea, she always tackles my ideas with, no, that's not possible, that's not how you're supposed to do it, you have to prepare it, you have to do it well, and then my idea disappears and I don't do it anyway. So that's a bit of my perfectionism, and there's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist, but it's very important to don't your perfectionism doesn't hold you back, but it just supports you to do the things you like. And now I didn't need to do this perfect. I just wanted to play, so I did. I sent Miss Perfect away and I asked her, just let me play. And I did it with no plan, just my hands and my heart were having fun. So I stitched a little piece of fabric on it. I did some embroider, some cords, and this is actually a leftover from my skirt. Oh, you can't see it, or you can't. I'm too small for the camera on this high. But I just really had fun making it, and it's a good reminder that we deserve just a little bit of playtime every now and then, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I know a lot of people aren't bothered by perfectionism, but I also know a lot of people do. And again, there's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist, but just not everything has to be perfect. I'm really struggling. Where is Miss Perfect when I need her? I want to speak English perfect, but all the verbs, I guess, I always struggle with them. But I'm just playing right now to let me say that. Oh, another hard jumping project with a little bit of Sarah sauce is my Coffeebean Corran Cardigan. I'm making another Corran cardigan, but then with another stitch. Let me grab my first one. My first Corran cardigan, it's again a pattern by Rebecca from the Creabea podcast. I really love her patterns. A lot of designs are really making me very happy. And this one was definitely one of them. I really love this cardigan. I really love wearing it. I love the look of it. And it's a Corran cardigan, a lace pattern with short sleeves. And I make my own version of it. For the K2P2 Festival. I'm organizing a festival in the end of November, 23 November, exact 2 months away from today. And it was very exciting this morning because I discovered we are sold out. And that was a very special moment for me because organizing a festival, I'm not an event organizer. I never wanted to be one to become one, and I don't have the desire to do it, but I do it anyway because I really love to bring all the people together. That's my great dream and wish, and yeah, that's my motivation for organizing a festival. And it's so special that this new idea, this new concept is received so good in the knitting community. So many people are being part of it or will visit the festival. That's really feeling good for me. So thank you if you will be there or if you are part of the festival. I really appreciate it. So I'm knitting a cardigan for the festival. I want to make my whole outfit. I want to make a hinterland dress and a cardigan. And normally I'm really good with finishing things quite close to the deadline. That always gives me a really good amount of energy and motivation to finish something. But I think I need my energy for organizing the whole festival thing more and more. It is already really busy behind the scenes, but it only will get busier, I'm afraid. Or I guess it's not. I'm not afraid. I really love doing it, but I really want to finish my garments on time. So I'm really on steam with this project. I changed the lace pattern from the Corran cardigan for the coffee bean pattern. And the coffee bean, I think I saw a pattern which was a mocked cable head. So I still didn't check, but maybe the coffee bean is also called mocked cable. I'm not quite sure, but it's really a lovely stitch pattern. It's a little bit of a variation of the knit to purl to rib pattern, because the coffee bean stitch is happening in the knit 2 sections of the knit 2 purl 2. So I thought it was really suitable to make this garment, to use this stitch for the knit 2 purl 2 festival. I just followed the Corran cardigan. I did a little bit of modifications when I split it for the sleeves, because I wanted a coffee bean and a selvage stitch next to each other. So I had to play a little bit with the amount of stitches, but it worked out pretty good, I guess. And now I finished the front panels. I put them on DPNs. I realized I don't have a lot of DPNs. I have a few wooden ones. I have 2, 3, 4 and 5 millimeter, and I need more DPNs in my life, I realized right now. So they are on my wish list. I thought I had all the needles, but I don't. But I love to put the fronts on DPNs because I'm really a big fan of the 3 needle bind off to close the shoulder seams. So we will do that. And I am doubting about the length. It is a bottom up garment, and that's actually not my favorite. I prefer top down because you can see the result more and eventually knit some extra, or for now I really had to. I didn't want to be my cardigan too long, but also not too short. And the coffee bean stitch, it's, as you can see, it's really how do you say it? I lost the word. It will stretch out after blocking and while wearing, because it's a rib stitch. It's coming together and it's more narrow than it should be, but when you stretch it out you will lose some length. Someone reminded me of that, and that was very helpful because I do know that, but of course I forgot. So I did knit some extra length, and I hope if I pull it out, I think this is the perfect length for me, so I hope it will work out this way. And I also, for the length of the front panels, I actually knitted 1 coffee bean extra, but then I thought it's too long, so I ripped it out for a little bit. And now I'm working at the back panel, and I think if I will be clever, I'm not quite sure if I'm such a clever person. If I will be clever, I will block the garment after closing the shoulder seams before picking up the stitches, because then when I have blocked it, and I will block it a little bit aggressively so it will stretch out while it's drying, then I am sure if there's enough space under my armpits. And it's very important I do it before picking up the stitches for the sleeves, because then if it's too close to my armpits, I only have to rip out the 3 needle bind off and knit the extra coffee beans, and the problem is solved. When there's a whole sleeve attached, I can't solve that problem anymore. So it's interesting. It's very it's a very good idea to be clever, but a part of me doesn't have the patience for that. We shall see how it will work out. I will give you an update next week. But it's really making me happy. I love the color. I already thought I would love to have the one in white or maybe lighter yarn. I think in white yarn, because you would see the coffee beans even more. So yeah, it's really lovely. I make it with the V-shaped neckline because I love that. And yeah, it's really making me happy. It's not a difficult pattern. It's easy peasy, and yeah, it's exactly what I need at this moment. A knitting project which is just perfectly, it's not boring, but it's also not hard. So my head is busy doing all the things and I can knit this garment anyway. That's very nice. Okay, I have another project I want to show you. It's not growing very hard, but it's really making me happy. This is the Wacky leftover pullover from K2P2. I don't know. I will put it in the screen. I'm sorry. And it's really making me happy. I love scrappy projects. I'm holding 2 strands of DK weight yarn together and it creates bulky weight, iron weight. I'm not sure. But it's perfect. It will not be my garment. I am at the point, I am considering making a vest of it, a V-shaped neckline vest. I'm not quite sure. I have to measure if it's wide enough. My girl, my eldest daughter, she wants an oversized sweater, and I'm not sure if maybe I had to go up one size, but if it will not be wide enough, I can make it into a Spencer. We call it Spencer in the Netherlands, but it's a vest in English. But I have to measure, and yeah, I don't work at it a lot right now because I'm not sure what to do, and I'm also not sure how far I am right now. But it's really, I love the combination of colors and just not knowing what will happen, and all this is also playing. Doesn't matter how it will come out, it will be a messy garment anyway, but in a good way, messy in a good way. So really, if you have some leftovers, I really recommend this pattern so far. I don't know if the pattern and the fit is good. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. But of course, I have no idea. I'm just knitting straight the body. It's again a bottom-up sweater. Yeah. I actually don't know why I'm knitting so many bottom-up projects if I prefer top-down. Because this is also quite easily to transfer into a top-down pattern. Yeah, okay. I have to remind myself before I cast on another bottom-up project. Yeah, then, almost last but not least, we go into the blanket section. I already said thank you, I guess, for the Granny Square love. Yeah, I think at the beginning of the episode. I might have started accidentally a new project. It was not really a planned project, and it's also not really happening right now. I had a photo shoot for the K2P2 Festival. We use photos for the Instagram account, and my sister-in-law is a very talented photographer, and she makes all the beautiful photos and little videos of all the things. And I'm a part of I don't have to be a visible part of the photos, but we need someone to hold and to knit and to do all the things, and that's me. But it's really, I needed a granny square for that, and I used all the colors. And then it was my plan to make a few granny squares with the same colors, but in a different, how do you say that? Follow up? Different order, I guess. But I didn't like it. It was boring to me. So I added some other colors, which were not really into the same color palette, but apparently granny squares are my color happiness too. So I just made 3 granny squares, and then I realized, okay, I think I started another granny square blanket. This one will be for on a bed, so it has a different back and front. That's different from my product blanket. This is the front and this is the back. I don't know if you can see the difference, but I do. And I use this way when I knit a blanket for on the couch. I want no difference between the front and the back, because it's laying it's not laying straight. But for a bed blanket, it's always laying with this flat on the bed. So then it's okay this way, and then I don't turn my square after every round, but I just go with slip stitches to the next hole to attach another color, and this way you create a back and a front. I also knit it on quite a tight gauge, 3.5mm needles for DK weight yarn, and that makes the squares really nice and tight, and it will look very straight on the bed when it will be finished. So my plan for now, we have a beautiful blanket on our bed. I will tell you a little bit more about that in a minute, but we don't have a woolen one, that's a cotton one, and also only one of the kids has a woolly granny square blanket, so we have 2 beds left. So I thought it would be nice to make a big pile of granny squares with all the DK weight scraps I have, and then attach them as I go in the last round with a solid color. And I don't know which color that will be. It's a bit depending on which kid wants to have the blanket, or otherwise it will be brown, I guess. The other one is brown too. We shall see. But I'm not working on it for now. It was only for the photo shoot. I will pick it up later, but because now I start my morning every day with 30 minutes of crochet. No, 30 minutes of crochet or knitting. And now I picked up my Northeasterley blanket. My Northeasterley blanket is my memory blanket. Every time I knit a garment or a pair of socks or whatever with fingering weight yarn, I also add a little bit of that yarn in the blanket. So it's a very slow growing project. And I collected some leftovers now, and I will knit them into the blanket before I will pick up the crochet blanket again. I did film a little bit of my morning routine, although I am cheating because it was not really the early morning. In the early morning my family is around, and it's in this time of the year it's quite dark in the morning, so filming was not an option. So I give myself another 30 minutes of hard jumping minutes. I call it heerlijk handwerk half uurtje in Dutch, and in English I could translate it quite creative with hard jumping 30 minutes, I guess. Hard jumping 30 minutes, yeah, let me call it that way. So another cup of coffee, my second one, when the house was empty and the light was back. And you can see me working on the blanket at the end of this episode. Another blanket I found in the thrift store. That was very exciting. It was on my wish list for quite a while. As you might have seen in the beginning of this podcast or on pictures I share or whatever, we have a beautiful blanket on our bed. It's filet crochet. That's a technique when you crochet the double crochets. You create a pattern in a specific way. And it was very popular in the 70s, I guess. Just make the plain bedspreads and curtains with the white or unbleached cotton, very tiny needles, a very thin yarn, and it was very popular. And my mom made this blanket a few years ago. It was a crochet along run by, I think, a Dutch company or 2 Dutch crocheters. I'm not quite sure, and I will link it down below. It was called the Nostalgica crochet along, and I'm quite sure it's also available in English. So I will link it down below so you can search for it, but I didn't make it myself, so I'm not really sure. I don't know the details, but my mom made the blanket for me, and it was a birthday present, so it's very lovely and very beautiful. And we have another filet crochet blanket I found at the thrift store ages ago, and it was off-white in the beginning, and then it was not really smooth and clean anymore. Our kids were little, so I dyed it green, and later I dyed it brown, and it's really lovely and really big. It was laying on a bed and also sometimes on the couch. I really love to put blankets on the couch. We have a dark brown couch. I love it, but I just love to change every now and then. There are not a lot of possibilities in our living room to change, so I just change with putting a blanket over the couch, and I have different ones. colored ones, black ones, white lighter ones, not white ones. It's really, yeah, I don't know. I love the fresh energy of changing a little bit in the house. But we needed a new blanket and I was searching for one, but I couldn't find it. And when we visit the thrift shop this weekend, I found the most beautiful, lovely blanket, handmade, crochet. I will show it in a minute. It was very bright white, very, very bright white. And I did put it on the couch, and although I love the look of it, it was not matching with the colors in our living room. It was too bright and too fresh. We have more of the warm colors. And I also, it was just too white for our house. So I decided to dye it, and it was actually my plan to dye it dark brown because that brown always works out. It's absolutely my favorite color. But I also really loved the contrast between the lighter blanket and the dark color of our couch, because you really could see the pattern very well. I will show you. I did film, maybe I can insert it. And when I was in the store for some textile dye, I discovered a beige color, so I decided let me dye it beige, and then it still will be light but in a warmer tint. So I did do that, but it didn't work out really good. I don't know what happened. Let me show it to you. It is not completely a disaster. And we can always dye it brown, so I'm not sure what to do yet. I just picked it from the washing line. It's still a little bit damp. But let me start with showing the beautiful pattern. Oh, it's all crinkly now, I see it. I'm sorry, I will put it on the couch anyway. All over lace, it's lace crochet and lace knitting. I really love the pattern. It's so beautiful, so much work, and I actually felt a little bit guilty that I was dyeing it because someone put so much time in it, and I of course absolutely don't know who, but I really love the pattern. But I'm not sure if you can see it well on screen, but there is some blue in it. Do you see it? Those blue stains? I don't know what happened. It's all over. I think the beige dye was a combination with some blue and also some red or pink, and it didn't catch well. There were definitely no stains on the blanket before I start dyeing it. So maybe I didn't use enough dye because it's a lot of fabric and you actually should have used 2, but I thought, oh, it might be lighter, but that's not a problem. I don't really know. I'm disappointed because I love the beige color, and I'm a little bit disappointed that there's so much blue happening, although it's very detailed. And what I will do now is I will put it on the couch anyway, because the worst part, I'm not sure, here's also a worst part. I thought the worst parts were at the borders, and they will be at the back of the couch so you don't see it. And maybe when there are pillows and some sheep skins, or not really sheep skins, sheep sheds, I don't know, on it, maybe it won't be really visible. So I didn't try yet. I will do that, and again, we can always make it dark brown, but let's see how this will work out. I will keep you updated, but not in this episode. I have no time for that today, and it still has to dry a little bit more. Yeah. Okay, I think I told you everything I planned today. Yeah, I did. Okay, this was it for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. For me, it's very special to have this corner on the internet where I can talk endless about my heart-jumping moments, about all the things in my project bags. I try to do that at home too, but it's not as much appreciated as it is here. And I can totally understand that. I don't blame my family. I just can't stop talking. But if you do want to see me without the talking, please hang out, because I have filmed me knitting on my Northeasterley blanket for a few minutes. And if you don't have to see that, I hope to see you next time. I will be there Friday with a Hard Jumping Friday video for the membership part. If you have any questions for that, you know where to find me. And I will be there next Monday with a regular episode. And I hope you have a very nice week filled with hard jumping moments. If you can't find them, create them because we need them. Bye bye.